5 years ago, the 2016 census showed that over 116,000 people across the country were without a safe and secure place to sleep at night. Approximately 20,000 of these people are children within the ages of 0 to 14 years of age. It has been predicted that homelessness within Australia will have increased by 50% within the next 4 years. Homelessness is something that is easy to ignore, especially growing up numb to issues that are literally at our feet. However, we can no longer just walk past the people who are in dire need. As young members who are going to inherit this society and the roles of power within our country, we must gain an awareness of the struggles that are around us. And I truly believe that Norm McGillivray is an individual who can open our eyes to the issue of homelessness. Norm, initially from the UK, started his own non-for-profit organisation aimed at providing temporary accommodation for the homeless each night. His organisation, BedDown, takes up spaces that are commonly used and busy during the day, but at night are left vacant and empty to create safe and comfortable places for homeless to sleep. By providing a safe and secure, comfortable place for these struggling people to stay, Norm and his organisation help restore the health, dignity and respect of their guests. I would like to welcome Norm to share his story and his own personal experiences with homelessness and the impact it has on our country.
Thank you, Joe, for that kind introduction, and thank you for the Dirrum Festival for inviting me along today to talk about BedDown and the story of BedDown. But before we get to what BedDown is all about, I think it's worth setting the context of why I started BedDown. And to do that, what I've got to do is take you back in time, and as Joe's mentioned, I'm originally from the UK, a place called Coventry, which is in central England. Very early on in my childhood, Mum and Dad were happily married. My dad had a business, shop fitting business, carpenter by trade. In his early 30s, he suffered a stroke which left him heavily disabled. It paralysed his right hand side, his face dropped, that impacted his speech. That was pretty much the end of the business overnight. My mum was a bit younger than my father at the time. She was bringing up a very small child, which was me. Now my dad was heavily disabled. This put a lot of stress and strain on the relationship, and they separated and got divorced. And my dad found himself homeless, sleeping rough on the streets of London. I have vague recollections of my father coming in and out of my life. Not sure what time would pass. I just remember him being around for a couple of weeks at the time. My mum would get him tidied up. He had hair. I didn't inherit his hair. So he'd get haircuts, shave, new clothing, then he'd go back to the streets of London. And at the age of 42, he suffered a heart attack which took his life, and he died lonely and homeless on the streets of London. I was 11 years old at the time and helpless and powerless to do anything about it. That's where the journey of BedDown started. I just didn't realise it at the time, and here we are now 40 years into the future. And can you imagine leaving here tonight to find somewhere that's safe, secure, offers shelter and a place to sleep? Unfortunately, over 8,000 people across Australia will have to do this tonight, and they will sleep rough on concrete, on benches, in parks and under bridges. And of those thousands of people that sleep rough every night across Australia, there's hundreds of people that lose their life every year as a result of sleeping rough, from things like being attacked, suicides, overdoses, infected wounds, pneumonia, that sort of thing. What that actually means here in Australia in 2021, that the average life expectancy of someone long-term sleeping rough is just 47 years of age. My dad died at the age of 42 nearly 40 years ago, and here we are nearly 40 years into the future, and we don't have to talk about what's happened in the last 40 years. Only we can look at the last 10 years to see the medical and the technological advancements that have been made globally, yet that needle hadn't moved much. This was unacceptable to me, and I needed to do something about it. So the whole purpose of BedDown is we look at space differently. We take spaces that are busy during the day and left empty and vacant at night time, such as empty car parks or empty office space, and we take those spaces and we activate and we repurpose them into pop-up accommodation to provide safety, shelter, security and a place for our guests to sleep. Collaboration is a huge part of what we do, and I'll talk more about that shortly. So BedDown is being constructed on 3 core foundation principles, of which I'll take you through them very, very quickly. The first one is we believe everyone deserves a bed to sleep in. So in 2021, no one should be sleeping on concrete, on a bench, in a park and under a bridge. People that are sleeping rough, it's an ironic term because they don't actually get much sleep. Sleep deprivation is a massive issue which causes things like mental health and physical health issues. So providing a safe place to get a good night's sleep, we believe everyone deserves a bed to sleep in, is our first core foundation. The second of our core foundations is actually the most important of our core foundations, but it's the longest one. So I'll take you through that, then we'll chop it down and go into more detail. It's about repairing the quality of life before building a life of quality for our guests. So what this actually means is, if we look at the first half of that, repairing the quality of life, wrapped around the premise of providing a safe, secure, comfortable place for our guests to sleep. And I should say we refer to the people that use our service as guests, because we want to welcome people in as if they're part of the family or family friend. And these are people that are sleeping rough. What we do is we partner and we collaborate with other service providers and charitable organisations. So we'll bring in doctors, nurses, dentists, social workers, hairdressers if you've got hair, new clothing, food and beverages. That looks to restore dignity, respect, self-esteem and confidence back to our guests. Building a life of quality is, how do we get this person from their current situation into a longer term solution? And what does that look like? Is it education, training, employment, accommodation, or rehabilitation, or a combination of all those factors? We get someone into a longer term solution means they're not coming back to use BedDown, which is absolutely incredible, which then leads into our final core foundation, which is to expedite the end of BedDown. So at some point in the future, we want to put ourselves out of business. But I'm not naive in standing here in front of you all today that you just flick a switch and you end homelessness. It's a long game, but this is the drive and determination from day one to transition as many people as possible into a longer term solution. So now I just briefly want to take you guys through, and it's about changing people's lives and saving people's lives. So we've just completed an 8-week extended trial here in Brisbane. It was in a Brisbane CBD car park in a venue called Central Plaza 1, and we were there for 8 weeks from April the 11th through to June the 6th. We had 390 volunteers donate over 7,000 hours of their time, and we were there to change the lives of our guests, but we actually had a massive impact in changing the lives of our volunteers as well. We provided nearly 800 nights of safe, secure shelter and sleep to our guests. We had 21 beds per night was our capacity in the space that we were allowed, and we had 77% male and 71% male and 29% female come through during that 8-week trial, and we had ages from 19 up to 60 that also attended. We collaborated with 33 service providers, so that's everything from food and beverages through to clothing, through to accommodation providers, medical providers, clothing providers as well. 5 of our guests secured jobs. 5 of our guests secured accommodation. And we got 1 of our guests into rehabilitation. So now, just to give you some direct feedback, as we would say, directly from the horse's mouth, Jono was one of our guests, and he described the BedDown experience as being epic. He's now in full-time employment. Ben, a little story about Ben. So Ben contacted us through Facebook, and he'd heard that we were operating a shelter, and he said, "Hey, I hear you guys are in a car park in Brisbane CBD. Where is it? I can't find it." So I said, "Ben, this is where you need to come to, but we have strict rules around what we expect as behaviours, what we call our values of entry." So I told him what they were. He said, "Yeah, no worries." I told him what time to arrive at the venue. He arrived the next night, and before he arrived, I actually said, "Ben, one of the service providers we've got coming in is a recruitment agency that will help with interview skills and resume building. What's your background, mate?" And he said, "Norm, my background's in logistics, warehousing, supply chain." I was like, "Right, great, thank you." So he turned up 7:30 the next night, and as he was checking in to our venue, I said, Ben, this is probably going to be the best night you've had in a long time. We've actually got an organisation here tonight that are looking to employ people in warehousing, logistics and supply chain. Do you want to have a chat with them? He said, hell yeah. And so I introduced them to Quality Foods. Quality Foods met with him, they interviewed him, they employed him, and he's now recently been promoted to a team leader position. This is a guy that was on the streets sleeping rough for 2.5 years. And in his first night, we've got to be careful how we raise expectations. Not everyone's first night is going to be as good as that, but it shows the opportunity to connect people in to services as well as providing a safe, secure night for a good night's sleep. And he says, I really can't thank you guys enough for transforming my life. And he's now obviously in employment and he's in accommodation. Melinda, female guest, absolutely amazing. I don't know where I'd be without you guys. She is now in accommodation also as a result of staying with us. And it's all right talking about what we do and how we go about collaborating with other service providers, but I think you need to see that. And we've got a short video here, which hopefully the technology will allow us to play. So here it is.
Yeah, well, it's been, man, like life-changing for me,
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I don't know where I'd be without them.
Yeah, nothing else like it.
My name's Edward Rayleigh Masters. I've been staying here at BedDown for about 5 weeks now.
Hi, I'm Melinda and I'm a guest at BedDown.
So my name's John O'Denny, I'm 28 and I'm a BedDown guest in Brizzy. The BedDown experience is epic. It's nowhere else in Brisbane do you get the same kind of treatment. It's like a big family down here. Volunteers are amazing, they go above and beyond every night that we're here.
I found this place to be amazing. It has been a part of why I went to recovery, and I think it's the best thing that's happened to me in my life. I'm now doing great in my life. Everyone here is actually a care factor for you. They care about what you are doing, where you're going, and whether you're going to come back and whether you're safe.
It blew me away, my first night, coming in here 5 weeks ago. From tomorrow night, man, I was saying to people, inside here, with, some of the guests here, which, I call, most of them, family as well.
Programs like this, they provide so many different kinds of services that help you bounce back so well. I've got a job from this place. I start work, it's money, it's the ladder out of the hole, so to speak. I had no idea that this is what I would be gaining from this place. They said come and sleep in a car park. They didn't say come and you'll get treated like an absolute king and we'll give you a job too.
So as a child, I couldn't help my dad. Now through BedDown, we can help someone else's dad, someone else's mom, someone else's son, and someone else's daughter. And it's about changing people's lives and saving people's lives. And it all starts with a safe place to get a good night's sleep. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you, Norm, because what you said just then was truly inspirational for me, and I think that your words are going to truly impact those who are listening. And to hear your story about your dad and what you're doing to help those other people whose family might be struggling in similar positions that you've experienced is just phenomenal. And honestly, I'm lost for words right now. That's all I can do is clap.